January has been, since the beginning of the year, probably the most incredible month in the last few years if we're talking new games. Whether if you are ready to commit or not, now or later, here's about 15 more super huge games released these past few days, ready to go for free for your Android and iOS devices too. Let's do it. Alright guys, quick mention over here, about 48 hours ago, as it's been ever since, resurfaced by many different links in the Play Store. I mean, I don't even know why, but anyway, we've got Principles, which is sitting on the Play Store with over 10,000 downloads as an action-adventure exploration-based, just walking sim that's mainly built to capture that realistic feel of playing on a mobile device. You can use the link down in the description. This game is actually free. Coming up behind that over here once again by Tornado Studios. That's actually the same developers behind the old Hard Dennis Fury World War II, which is what this new game is quite a bit inspired by. I mean, you could say cloned off of. Well, for those of you who missed it over here, something called Pacific's War Iwo Jima World War II. One thing I'm pretty sure from these developers is that their games are pretty mindless in nature, but really fun, especially if you're into team-based multiplayer, just first-person shooters, just chaos. For example, not first-person shooters, but team-based chaotic games such as Fall Guys. This game's free and it takes you down for only 500 megabytes of space. Sitting on the Play Store with only 100 downloads since about 2 days ago. However, since it's revealed on its official website with over 100,000 downloads, we've got over here Strangers Awaken. Guys, this is a team-based strategy MOBA action slasher that doesn't really have a ton of content to offer so far, but a pretty legitimate gameplay in matches of up to 15 minutes, technically 10 minutes. This game's free, has a few in-app purchases for further supports, and it's actually pretty good in visuals too. A bit of a shift over here, at least in graphics though. We've got over here sitting on the Play Store since 2 weeks ago, download over 500,000, almost 1 million downloads already, a Minecraft action platform adventure, if that was to ever happen in its finest way possible, and all the way free. We've got what's called Minecraft Craft Adventure. It's a 10 out of 10 in replay value. This game's even playable with a controller, it's playable offline, no bugs that I've ever heard about, simple to play, got tons of items to gather, loot, and upgrades as well. Play it. At number 3, sitting on the Play Store with about 100 downloads only since last week. First of its developers' work, something called Bloody Fight. Guys, this game's just so underrated that it ain't even rated yet. And if I had to be fair, it's pretty much right up there with any classic nostalgia game that came out for the past 6 months. If you were considering to pick up Streets of Rage 4, I mentioned a couple of days ago, but you couldn't really afford the $10 price tag, well, I'd have to say there is a world difference between the two over here, but hey, this game's free and pretty good in nature, although it's got occasional ads. At number 6, available both on Android and iOS devices since roughly a week ago, we've got Shadow Slayer: The Dark Impact. I would easily put this one at number 1 in the list here if I were just a tad more sure that it works on all devices and it's globally available free. Here's the thing, if you have ever enjoyed a Souls-like hack and slasher, then a Castlevania game, this thing delivers all of those like a beast, and it's free. Gives a 10 out of 10 in my book, and it's as fast as a fast-paced game could be. At number 7, I'm not even gonna bother explaining you this one, guys. If you do like online strategy stuff, this game is at the moment sitting on the Play Store with over 1 million downloads since only 2 weeks ago. And it is actually ranked as the #1 strategy free-to-play game of the year by the Play Store itself. Guys, Primitive Era over here, by the way, this is not gameplay, it's just a trailer, is totally free-to-play, has 0 ads except just one ad that you get to watch in the beginning of the game, and boy, is it addicting in nature. Careful with this one. Moving on to number 8, we have Final Fantasy 15 War of EOS. Now, guys, this is a hero collecting strategy turn-based RPG online game, almost an idle game, albeit set for the first time in 3D and in the Final Fantasy universe. Do you guys remember the old Final Fantasy 8 with those cards and mini games back then? God, that was the best time of my life. Anyway, this has all of that, albeit it's a mobile game and maybe a little bit even more rewarding. Been meaning to talk about this one for a while. We've got a number 9. I'm pretty sure most of you already know about this one. Something called Border of the Wild. This is an action survival tactic / turn-based strategy coming from Hong Kong Limited. Border of the Wild is simply addicting, as it's just the case with most strategy games, albeit with the added element of survival. This game is playable online, takes you down for 300 megabytes of space, and so far downloaded over 1 million times since January 11, which honestly, that number just speaks for itself. Check it out, please, just in case you missed it. At number 10, we've got over here finally on the Play Store and no longer in its early access phase also. Across the Ages, in short TCG, I wouldn't go so far to call this one the best card-based idle game of the past whatever month, but I'd have to say that it is actually pretty much right up there with games as good nature as Marvel Snap. This game is free, of course playable online only, a tad different from the idle base that you've probably played before, and nature as it's kind of a tabletop deck based in nature. Check it out, game is pretty addicting, and this is how it really works, in case you missed it. Very quick mention over here, as I've said this one before, there's nothing compared to this one if we're talking sport games that came out in January, considering big hit football. For those of you into basketball, we've got over here NBA Absolute Superstars, which is just hands down a console game playable on mobile devices. This game's free, available worldwide since only 2 weeks ago, super fun in replay value, and pretty good in visuals. Coming up behind that, we've got over here various DAYLIFE Mobile. I wish I saw this one a little earlier from my last video, but for those of you into paid games, because this one easily takes the cake on mobile devices as it is about 25 bucks. Here, guys, various DAYLIFE's been in the making for Android devices for 3 years now. This game is already on the Apple Store since last year, and it's just in nature a turn-based RPG story-based adventure. Not much to talk about with this one, except this game is a phenomenal port in nature. At number 13, from the same developers behind the first game in the list, Principles. We've got over here Abide. This is actually an open world RPG, monster breeding action RPG. Well, and I'm not entirely sure, but there's a full English version of this one, according to rumors, in the making, with English voice actings on the way and due out in the next few months. Guys, Monster Universe over here is playable only online, is free with in-app purchases only, and quite a bit inspired by 2 franchises. The Digimon, of course, and Genshin Impact. Pretty simple. Coming from a brand new indie developer, actually this is the first game so far, by the way, guys. We've got over, bear with me for a second, and actually all the way free to play top-down hack and slasher, technically Hades meet Devil May Cry mobile game. I got nothing bad to talk about with this one. The game is not even 100 megabytes of space in nature. It's got a few good hours of campaign, about 6 stages to play through. There's more coming, and the game is pretty smooth and even playable offline. And last but not least at all, we've got over here driving mobility. I'm not gonna lie, I actually haven't played a better driving sim out of an indie developer that's as fine as this in gameplay. In fact, as you can tell by the title, the game is in its beta phase and still taking player suggestions for a better finished game. If you do like driving to just relax, especially in the streets of South Korea, technically speaking though, well, DM over here is pretty good, it's free, and it's even playable offline.